Hi guys, we're back. Chapter 13 is called Odysseus is the Eagle. Last time we read, Odysseus was dressed as the beggar, and he was coming in and he was trying to beg for food, and the suitors were kind of giving him a hard time. And then this other beggar came in and they encouraged them to fight, and of course Odysseus won and earned their respect. Penelope kind of put down her foot and said, hey guys, I'm tired of this. You guys aren't even giving me any gifts. So she's now all of a sudden getting a bunch of gifts from the suitors, and they're super excited because they think this now means that they're giving her gifts, and she's gonna pick someone to marry soon. So we're gonna move on from there. All right, here we go. Telemachus went to bed. He was worn out from the day. He couldn't believe that just that morning he had arrived on Ithaca's shores. So much had happened. But best of all, Telemachus was reunited with his father. He went to bed happy with this knowledge. Odysseus walked slowly upstairs to Penelope's rooms. Her maids announced him, and she let him in. Odysseus found her sitting by the fire, looking as lovely as a goddess. He bowed his head to her, since she was royalty and he was disguised as a beggar. Please, she said to Odysseus, sit down. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? Who's your family? Dear Queen, he responded, please ask me any other question, whose memories will make me weep. Oh, stranger, Penelope replied, how I understand. You see, I lost everything when my husband set sail to fight in the Trojan War. Until he comes back, my sadness will continue. There, by the fire, Penelope told Odysseus all about the suitors. She told him how they were trying to win her love and wasting her husband's wealth. I even came up with tricks to delay them, she said. I sewed a large tapestry every day. I promised to marry one of them when I was finished, but I unraveled my work every night. That was a good idea, Odysseus said, nodding. It was, Penelope agreed, until one of my disloyal maids told the suitors what I was doing. Now, sadly, I'm out of ideas, she smiled. But come now, I have told you my own sad story. Won't you tell me yours? Odysseus answered, Madame, I would prefer to tell you this. I once met your husband when he was on his way to Troy. I found him to be an excellent man. Penelope was excited to hear any news about Odysseus, but she did not completely trust this stranger, so she tested him. Penelope asked him to describe the clothes Odysseus had been wearing. He did this, and he even described the cloak she had given to her husband. Penelope began to cry. Dear Queen, Odysseus continued, do not cry. I have also heard news of your husband. He is possibly alive and on his way home. It is said he is bringing back great treasures from his travels. These things will be enough to replace all the wealth the suitors have stolen. This news calmed Penelope. She decided to ask the stranger for his opinion about something. I had a dream, she explained. 20 geese were wandering around our property, but then a great eagle swooped down from the mountain. The eagle killed the geese and flew away. In the dream, I worried and cried. My maids all gathered around me. Then the eagle came back, and it said to me, do not cry. This is not a dream. It is a vision. I am not an eagle. I am your husband, Odysseus. I'm coming back to you. I will punish the suitors. When I woke up, Penelope finished, my geese were wandering around the property as usual. She paused. What do you think this dream means? Odysseus smiled. Well, I am no dream expert, but I think the dream explains itself. Odysseus is the eagle who will destroy all of your suitors. Who are the geese? Now, will you promise... I think I just read that wrong. Let's try that again. But I think the dream explains itself. Odysseus is the eagle who will destroy all of the suitors who are the geese. Now, will you promise to stop being so sad? Penelope thanked the stranger and promised she would try. Deep down, though, she didn't believe in dreams. She thought they were unsure things. Penelope was the type of woman who took matters in her own hands, and that, she resolved, was exactly what she would do. But not tonight. I could sit here and talk with you forever, she told the stranger. You feel strangely familiar to me. I'm very comfortable around you, but I need to get some rest. Let me call one of my maids to make up the guest room for you." Odysseus then surprised Penelope. He asked that an older, respectable woman prepare his guest room. He did not want a pretty young maid. Penelope told him that the faithful old family nurse was such a woman. The old nurse had been in the house the night Odysseus was born, many years ago. She was the most respected in the house. "She sounds perfect," Odysseus said. He wished Penelope a good night. The old nurse entered the room. When she saw the stranger by the fire, her emotions were stirred. He reminded her of Odysseus. Of course, Odysseus was happy to see his old nurse. She had aged much while he was away. He looked fondly upon her, but did not reveal himself. The old nurse brought Odysseus to his guest room. While he changed into bedclothes, she dressed the bed with clean linens. Odysseus began to climb into bed with the help of the old nurse. As he did, the leg of his pants lifted just slightly. They revealed the scar on his ankle. The old nurse immediately recognized the scar. It was the scar given to Odysseus by a wild boar while he was hunting with his grandfather. Only one person in the world could have had it, and the good nurse gasped. "Could it be?" she whispered. The nurse leaned down and looked straight into Odysseus's eyes. She began to cry joyful tears. "You are my boy," she said. "Odysseus has returned." Odysseus whispered back, "Yes, nurse, it's me, but please do not say another word. I must stay in disguise." The nurse promised she would not say a word. She did not even ask for a reason. "Good night, dear master," the nurse said. "Good night, dear nurse," replied Odysseus. Odysseus could not sleep that night. He lay in bed thinking about his revenge upon the suitors. He felt like growling like an angry dog. He tossed and turned. Suddenly Athena appeared by his side as a woman, and she spoke to him in a soothing voice. "Poor, unhappy man, why do you lie awake? You are back in your house. Your wife is safe inside, and your son is a young man any father could be proud of." Odysseus sighed. "All of that is true," he said, "but I cannot see how we are going to defeat these suitors. There's so many, and we are so few." "Shame on you," Athena scolded him gently. "Am I not a goddess? Have I not protected you through all of your troubles? Even if there were 50 armies of suitors, you would still win with my help. But you need your rest, so shut your eyes and go to sleep." Odysseus and Telemachus met early the next morning before the suitors arrived. Odysseus had dreamed overnight of a way to perfect their plan. The father and son sat in private discussion. "As I said before, you must gather all of the armor in the house. Take all the helmets, shields, and spears down to the storage room. The suitors will not be able to reach for them there." Odysseus instructed his son, "And what is your excuse when the suitors ask what you're doing?" "I will say that I'm cleaning the armor," Telemachus replied. "Good," Odysseus replied, "and don't forget about our signal to fight." The suitors started to arrive. They decided to have a giant feast. Penelope would soon be selecting one of them to marry. This called for a celebration. The entire house prepared for the feast. The maids cleaned and cooked. Even some of the lazy suitors chopped firewood. It was so busy in the house that nobody noticed Telemachus collecting all of the armor. He had no problem hiding it in the storage room. Only he and his mother had the key to this room in the palace. The swineherd, Eumaeus, was called to bring 3 of his best pigs. When he arrived, he dropped the pigs off in the kitchen, and then he approached Odysseus, who was still disguised as a beggar. Eumaeus quietly asked how the suitors were treating him. "Things are calm now," Odysseus replied, "but the excitement is about to begin." The meal was ready, and everyone went inside to eat, including Odysseus. It could have been a pleasant party, but the suitors continued their bad behavior during the feast. One of the suitors said, "I think we should give this beggar a gift. It should be something fitting for him. Let's give him something he can use to show off." The nasty suitor picked up a chicken bone and threw it at Odysseus. The mean young man was trying to hit him in the head, but he missed. And the other suitors laughed. Telemachus spoke fiercely to the one who threw the bone. "It's a good thing for you," he said, "that you missed. Otherwise, you would have been very sorry, sir. You are a visitor in my house. Behave yourself." He turned to speak to all of the suitors. "I want you all to hear me now," he said. "I am not a child anymore. I have watched you take advantage of my home. In the past, I have been unwilling to fight you. You are many men, and I am only one." He took a deep breath. "But I am done. I've had enough. I will fight the next one who dares to cross me." The suitors were stunned. They had never heard Telemachus speak so bravely. Suddenly, they were overcome with a very strong sense of fear. Athena had thrown this feeling over them like a blanket. But the suitors did not know this. They thought that Telemachus's words had stirred their fear. So Athena threw another little spell, and she brought the spell of fear over the suitors. So when Telemachus said, "Stop treating him that way, I'm going to fight you," the suitors all had this internal feeling of fear that they didn't know where it was coming from. But we found out that it was Athena that had did that. So now his old nurse has learned who he is, that it's Odysseus. She's super excited to see him. She's also promised to keep it a secret until the right time is to tell everybody who he is. We're still kind of coming down to what's going to happen between the suitors, and Telemachus and Odysseus. All right, have a great rest of your day.